What's going on, everybody? I am joined again by Fernando to talk again Miami Hurricanes. This is going to be the Miami Hurricanes preview 2020 part 2. If you haven't caught part 1, we did a part 1 about 2 months ago, and go check it out. We gave a little preview from what we knew then. Of course, in the last 2 months, things have changed, not only around the country, but also for the Hurricanes as well, which we're going to get into here. Recruiting, and we're going to talk a little bit about the schedule and what we could expect for what we know now. Before we get into it, go down, hit the subscribe button, click on that bell. You can make sure you get these videos because Fernando and I are definitely going to be doing these videos, especially if there's a football season. There should be a football season. We're going to be doing a lot more of these videos to give our reactions and more previews as we get closer and closer. So we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about recruiting, what has happened since the last video we had in part 1, and also we're going to talk about how the schedule and how football is going to look coming for this upcoming season at the very least. So, Fernando, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Dan? I'm ready to go, baby. How about you?
I'm ready to go, man. I'm itching to have a football season. I know many people are. We need it. We want it, especially the Hurricanes, especially for the off season that we have had.
Yeah.
You know, we talked a bit of part 1 about we got Rhett Lashley, we got Derek King, we got Quincy Roche, we got Isaiah Walker was on the last video we had. That's when we happened to get him to come back to Miami after he enrolled at Florida. He left and he came back. We finally got a true tackle there.
Huge.
Yeah, huge. And, you know, we were able to get some other recruits as well. In the span of 2 months, a few things that's happened in recruiting. Two main key recruits here. We got Jaron Williams, the offensive lineman from Houston, the transfer. He played with Derek King. And that was a huge get because he was looking at other schools too, but Miami made the most sense, and he committed, and he's on campus. And then just about a week or two ago, now I think maybe about 10 days ago or so, Cameron Kitchen, safety, 4-star from Northwestern, the 5th player from Northwestern to commit. That's looking really, really good because Northwestern produces a lot of good players, and that pipeline is starting to look strong.
Yeah. We just got it's a huge pipeline, this Miami Northwestern, and it looks like it's going to influence those players that were at first were not looking at us from Palmetto. It looks like now they're starting to, hey, it looks like Miami's doing something. It looks like the crib is back. It looks like they want to stay. So this momentum is going great right now. Like, yeah, we ended 2019 horribly with those 3 losses that we dropped. But hey, big ups to Manny Diaz and the coaching staff to bring the momentum back, to bring the hype back. Like potentially, we're set up to have a really great 2020 season if we have a 2020 season. But the whole goal of this season was to take that next step forward, to get to the ACC championship, to look like we can compete with Clemson, so we can get to what looks like our the real goal is 2021 when we open up the season in Atlanta against Alabama. Yep. And it looks like we're finally going to have an offensive line. It looks like we're fine. And it just, the recruits that we're getting are amazing. The potential that we have with Isaiah Walker. Like this year, we have, obviously, with Jerry Williams. Schaefer. We have an actual core of offensive linemen. You could see a starting a 2 depth. You could see the starters, you could see the backups, and you see the potential, especially now in recruiting, how it's going, dog. And I hope we could keep the biggest recruit. I don't like to name high school players, obviously, because I haven't seen them play. Like the one thing, and a guy that I follow huge, and you should follow, his name is Larry Bluestein. He's been recruiting since before I was in high school. He was recruiting. He helps all the kids in high school. If you don't follow him, follow at Larry Bluestein. He's huge when it comes to these high school recruits. He watches everybody. He sees everybody. He's out there at Travis Powell, at FIU North, at South Miami. He's looking at all these high school recruits, and he has a firsthand view at these guys. He goes to the practices. So whatever he says, his word is golden to me. Like for me, I can name you any high school recruit, but how many 5 stars have we had in the past that didn't pan out? So this is a roll of dice. It's almost like the NFL draft, but we have a number of 5-star, hopefully 4-star picks, high 3-star picks that come in here, and if they fit the system and they can catch the offense, catch the defense quick, we have potentially a really good future looking right now with Manny Diaz and these Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah, in the 2021 class right now, there are 7 4-star, there are 9 3-star, and the kicker, who is actually the brother of the current kicker right now, he's
rated from FIU. Yeah,
he's rated as a 2-star. They don't really rate kickers higher. Yeah. But
I mean, the kicking game is huge. It cost us. It cost us this year huge. Virginia Tech, and it just cost us really big. And finally, we get somebody. Like a big thing that you're seeing is that we're getting a lot of safeties, and I want to say that this is a huge thing because who just came back into the mix with the University of Miami? Ed Reed. And who would you want to learn from? If you're a youngin, like Ed Reed, yeah, we always talk about the past. We always talk about our past Canes, the Vince Wilforks, the Andre Johnsons, the Warren Sapps, Jerome Brown, Vinny Testaverde, Michael Irvin. But Ed Reed, even our young guys that are just turning 18, 19, they actually saw Ed Reed play in a Super Bowl against San Francisco and win a Super Bowl with Ray Lewis. Like Ed Reed is a name that everybody knows. And imagine if you're a young kid and like, hey, if I come to the U, I get to stay at the crib and I get to learn from a Hall of Fame safety. It's a huge get, and you can see it helping us out here in recruiting.
Yeah, definitely. Recruiting. This is a very key year because, like you said a few minutes ago, is who they gave the nickname the Palmetto Five. There's 5 players from Palmetto who are very, very highly recruited right now through ACC teams, SEC teams, Big Ten. I mean, they can have their pick of whatever team they want to go to, and Miami is in the mix for all 5 of them. Somewhere in their top 5, 10, whatever, Miami's in that mix now. The very first recruit, it looks like from the Palmetto 5 is going to be Leonard Taylor, the 5-star defensive tackle. He's going to announce August 6th on CBS Sports HQ or some channel. He's going to announce.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
He narrowed it down to Miami and Florida, the Gators and the Hurricanes, and there's a lot of hype. There's a lot of speculation that he's going to go to the Canes because what Cameron Kitchen says, he goes, "Why go to another city when I could put it on for mine?" And that's huge right now. If we can keep these kids on, if you look at the current 2021 list, and you look at where these kids are coming from, they're all Dades, Broward, Palm Beach. I mean, almost I would think like all but maybe 1 or 2 are not from here, but they were maybe from here at some point, but maybe they went to Tampa, but the core, I mean, 95% of the squad is from South Florida. Yeah. And, building that proverbial, that fence around South Florida, and then from, the I-4 on down and whatnot, and then getting some other players, that's going to be key for Miami building forward.
See, the thing is with it, and, everybody talks about making the crib great. And the crib is, like we have the huge talent pool from West Palm down, even if you want to say, Shaq Quarterman and I think Pickney, they came from that Jacksonville area. Mm-hmm. The game, the whole state of Florida should be the state of Miami, you would hope. But the thing is now, like back then, back in, the 90s, the early 2000s, everybody wasn't getting on TV. But now you're talking about like Zach Moss, who, he went to Hallandale with the 2 other guys. They all went to Utah together. You get what I'm saying? And they're still going to get TV time. Like, that's what they want. They want exposure, these kids. And, like, I understand, but why would you come? Like, we need to get, our best players should be staying at in Miami. Yes. And it's pretty much impossible now to keep everybody down here. But we're taking advantage now with COVID that, there's travel restrictions. There's no camps being had right now. So Nick Saban's not down here. Michigan is not down here. We don't have people in the schools, taking our players from down here. And the University of Miami does a great job with junior days, with recruiting sophomores, recruiting juniors, that these guys have been in their heads already and they know who they're coming into. And especially their parents. Hey, who are you sending your kids to? You know, and like another thing is, you're giving your kids up to these coaches to be a father figure, to be, and who's going to do the best job with my kids. And I think that's a huge get when it comes to Manny Diaz and his staff. Another thing that just happened a couple of days ago is that we locked up Coach Lockett, who used to be the head coach at Central, was a coach over at Florida State, and now he's on staff with the University of Miami. He has that huge inner city connection with Central, with Miami Northwestern, with Norland. He can get us more kids from the area so they can stay here and not have to go to Alabama, not have to go to Michigan, not have to go to Utah, and they can stay at the crib and be great.
You could definitely tell that this coaching staff on both sides of the ball, Manny Diaz and Manny Diaz himself, because you have to give credit where credit is due. People were really, I mean, they were ready to hang Manny out to dry after the end of last season, losing to Louisiana Tech. And
Most of us were.
Yeah, I wasn't one of them yet, because I think you have to give the man a little bit more than just a year to turn things around. However, he said, you know what? You could just tell. He didn't even have to say it. We're not going to do all the swag things we were doing last year. We're not going to do all the Instagram stuff and the Twitter stuff. We're not going to do all the the videos of us.
Yeah, absolutely. No more talking.
He's out there grinding, and he's out there letting his coaches go out there and recruit. And right now, it's paying off dividends.
Hey, our ears are broken, Manny. Show us. And he's showing. Our ears are broken. Show us. I'm wearing shades at night, but we can still see, man. I'm telling you. And we see what you're doing, Manny. And keep it up. Keep it going. And when it comes time to be on the field, if it's September, if it's October, if it's the spring, show it on the field, man. And if you build it, they will come. Yeah. And we're in the hotbed of not just COVID, but NFL talent coming from these high school kids. And if you build it, they will come. And it's right there for you. Yeah. It's right there for you in the taking.
Yeah,
especially with a defensive tackle. Like, defensive tackle is so hard to recruit for us for whatever reason. We can never get an offensive lineman. And look at the offensive lineman we have coming in. Look, and if we can get this 5-star defensive tackle, put him next to Silvera. I mean, the future's looking great, bright.
We do have a 4-star defensive tackle in Savion Collins. We have a 4-star offensive lineman. So we're getting some good quality ones. But how can we go out there and do what Alabama and Clemson and Ohio State is? You get those 3 to 4 or 5 stars every single cycle, and who knows? Leonard Taylor could be that domino. That first domino that sets off a chain reaction with the rest.
No, I agree.
You guarantee that all 5 Palmetto 5 will come here, but if you can get 3 of the 5, that's huge. If you can get 4 of the 5, the more you get from that squad, not only from that squad, of course, but because you're talking about high 4 and 5-star recruits there. Those are program changers right there. Hold on for that. Look at Pat Surtain Jr. I think it's Pat Surtain Jr. He was down here in South Florida. He went to Alabama to be a corner. Now he's projected to be a first round, maybe early second round after this season. That's a talent that we could have kept down here, but he went to Alabama. You know? Those are the players we got to keep here.
But I'm going to tell you this. Is Alabama's always going to come down here and take a player. I know they got the receiver from Booker T. They're always going to come down here and get a player. And they always do. That's just what they do. They got Jerry Jeudy. They got Calvin Ridley from down here. Georgia got them. They're always, Georgia and Alabama are going to get a player or 2. We can't keep everybody. No, but we got to keep most of them. And the biggest domino that we got, especially after that the final part of the season that we had last season, is De'Aaron King. Yo, that transfer portal, that's the domino that set it off. Because without him, we got him. Then Isaiah Walker's like, hey, why am I going to go do this over there with Gainesville when I can do it down here at the crib? He came down here. Jaron Williams, hey, he came down here. And that's just the domino that's going to keep coming down. And we're going to keep getting players. And if we have the season, we have to win. You have to show it on the field. Yes. Like I said before, our ears are broke. You got to show us. That's how it's got to be done.
I guarantee you, Miami, we're going to talk here in just a second about the schedule. Right now, Miami has 8 games on the schedule. Let's just first say they're only going to play ACC games. I think they're only going to play ACC games. It is what it is. I'm just hoping we get a season no matter what. I'm not going to lose any. I'm not going to shed any tears if we don't play Wagner or Temple or UAB.
Bethune.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to lose any tears over that. It would have been good to have a little tune-up before the main games, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right now, if we're only talking about ACC, they have 8 games. Of course, they're trying to pick up 1 or 2. I think they're going to end up probably picking up. I think every team's going to end up picking 2 because every ACC team does have 8 ACC games. They had the 6 from their own division plus the 2 from the crossover. So that's 8. And, plus now we have Notre Dame possibly only playing ACC games. So I see you pumping your fist, but let's talk about that here in a second. So right now, the big news is that, the Big Ten and, I believe the Pac-12 said we're only going to play conference games, which I think makes the most sense. So let's talk about the Hurricanes. If they're only going to play an ACC schedule, right now, the way their schedule sets up is they won't have any games in September. So the entire month of September is completely open. They can play any Saturday in September, So there's 4 straight slots that they could fill. If they're only going to pick 2, like right now, they're only going to pick 2, all right, because our idle week is October 16th or something like that.
Okay.
So if they're only going to pick up 2, which 2 are we going to pick up? Because dates matter, because not every team has the same flexibility with the month of September like Miami does. So for the first question, which 2 teams from the Atlantic would you like to see the Hurricanes play, or Notre Dame?
From the Atlantic.
Because it has to be the Atlantic.
Oh, no, you know what I was thinking? I was hoping.
Tell me.
I was hoping it would be, obviously Notre Dame. Obviously, I would love to beat Notre Dame up any year, any day. That Notre Dame game that we had a couple years ago when the Rock just exploded.
But there may not be fans. Who knows if there's going to be fans?
There might not be fans. There most likely is not going to be fans. Honestly, I was hoping we can get somebody outside of the ACC, and I want to beat up on FIU. I need that revenge game. I need to show them that 2019 Canes is not the 2020 Canes. But if from the Atlantic, I want the big dogs. I want Clemson. We already got Florida State. We're gonna get Florida State. I want Clemson. I want to see where we are at, man. I want to see Gregory Rousseau go up against the best offensive line, and I want to see where these boys are at, man. And if you're gonna tell me to choose a team from the other side, I'm gonna go up to the tippy top, and I want Clemson.
All right, so let me respond to your Clemson request, because I have given us a lot of thought over the last few days here. Clemson, the only way, in my opinion, is that's going to work, and that's going to be to work to the advantage of Miami. Let's just say there are not going to be any fans. If there's not going to be any fans, I don't think it's going to matter whether they play at Clemson or Miami. If they play with fans, it's going to matter if they play in Miami or Clemson, because it's going to give an advantage. Now with Clemson, you really want to play them the opening game. Why? Because we have film on Trevor Lawrence. We have film on a lot of their players that are still there. Travis Etienne, a lot of their offensive linemen. They don't have any film on our players, especially on offense. They don't have film on Derek King. They don't have film on what Rhett Lashley is going to do with his offense, and what our offensive line is going to do, and what our receivers most likely going to do.
Yeah.
All he can do is try to guess or game plan as best as he can based off the pass, but there's no game film. So if you're going to have any advantage, and Miami needs every single advantage they can against Clemson, because Clemson is
absolutely
to try to have any chance of an upset. Not only do I think they have to play at home, but they're going to need the fans, and they're going to need to play the first game of the season just to try to catch them off guard.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. No film. They're going to have to study all of Rhett Lashley's, all of his past plays, all of his past offenses. You're absolutely right. If we're going to play them in the beginning of the year is the best time to play them. Or, like if there was an ACC championship or anything like that, at the end of the year when, hopefully that we're clicking and we're ready to go and we can play them then. But I completely agree with you that they should be playing in the beginning of the season where we can catch everybody by surprise. It's kind of like that 2008 season with the Miami Dolphins, and they busted out the Wildcat on the New England Patriots, and they had no idea what to do. They were tripping all over each other. It'd be the same exact way.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Clemson, the only date they have open, because they do play 3 ACC teams in the first 4 weeks of September. The only time they're going to have is September 19th. So if they can make that date work, I know Dabo is probably not going to be too keen on playing Miami to have Miami on the schedule, because we already play him in 2022 at Clemson. We play him in, not next year.
Yeah, I got you.
Dabo's going to have some say in that as well. I would say one of the teams I wouldn't mind playing, obviously Notre Dame. I mean, who doesn't like beating the Irish? I mean, let's get real. They have availability too. The question is these ACC games, are they all going to count? Are these 2 extra games going to count towards your ACC record, or are they not going to count towards your ACC record because they happen to be last-minute additions? Those are questions that haven't been answered yet. Let's just assume that they are going to count towards a 10-game record. I would rather get 2 teams at the bottom of the pile. I want to pile up those wins. In my opinion, I want to pile up the wins. As sexy as Clemson may sound, let's get there in the championship game. Let's click on all cylinders. Let's get that going, right? So I would, according to the power rankings, Syracuse, NC State, Boston College possibly, they're towards the bottom half, if not all the way at the bottom of these, preseason power rankings. I wouldn't mind whipping up on one of them, in September. One's going to be away, one's going to be at home. Which one would you rather play away? I don't think it's going to really matter. So what say you?
Like, again, yeah, that's an easy route to take, to be, hey, let's pile up some wins, but that's just not the way I roll. You know what I mean? I the way I roll is I want them at the tippy top, and I get, hey, let's get a warm-up game over here. Florida State plays Trinity or Georgia Southern or something to start the season off, to get a little warm-up game in there. Nah, I'm good with, hey, let's go to Orlando, let's play Florida week 0. I'm all about, like, let's go. Hey, you should come with your best. I'm going to come with my best. And let's go at it. Let's do it, And like you said, we would get a huge advantage because nobody's seen our offense yet. Nobody's seen Derek King in our offense. Nobody's seen our no-name wide receivers right now. Hey, if you ask the world, who's Mark Pope? Who's Jared Payton? Who's Mike Harley at that? These are not household names in the college football yet. But I think, like you said, with the new offense, a little bit of a surprise attack on everybody, we could definitely, open some eyes.
I would, start off with a bang against Clemson. I'm not going to turn that down. However, in my opinion, you kind of got to take the emotional things out of it, especially with this. And you got to think what is best for the Hurricanes, in my opinion.
You're going to be
piling up wins, because let's just say you play Clemson and you lose at a last-second field goal or an overtime, whether regardless of how you lose, if you lose, now you're already behind the 8 ball, and you're behind the 8 ball against North Carolina and Virginia Tech. You're behind that 8 ball. And even though they face each other, and Miami plays them too, now you're already a game behind the 8 ball. Now the pressure is really on, because every single game is critical. One game, you lose one ACC game, that really means 2. You lose 2, that really means 3. So, North Carolina, a lot of people are picking North Carolina to win the Coastal. A lot of teams like Virginia Tech ahead of Miami, which is, I think it's a bit asinine. But, it's, Miami can't afford. I think just pile up the wins. If you have 10 games, you end it 8-2 or 9-1, and that's a really good season, especially with the teams that you beat, and you can get to the ACC championship game. You're gonna face Clemson most likely, and that's the best case scenario, and hopefully maybe even get to an Orange Bowl game, because that's going to play huge with recruiting, and especially getting that first signing class in December.
At the end of the day, I would, love to be piling up wins, here and there. But, then you get that conversation of who have they beaten? Who have they faced? What's going to happen when they face the big dogs? They're not facing Boston College, Syracuse, things of that. They are going to be facing the Florida States, the Clemsons, the North Carolinas. So I would love to just, hey, get that over with. Hey, show them that we're here to play, and let's bring it. Let's bring it. It's hard. Like the one thing that's really down, like we play down to our opponents. Mm-hmm. That's something that like Manny Diaz has to fix. We play down like when he's doing great when it comes to recruiting. He's doing great when it comes to bringing in the talent and the hype with the Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. But when it comes to the game day, like we play down to our opponents. Like, hey, we should have beat up on Florida. We should have beat up on on FIU. Like you could see it. And I don't know if it's a player thing. Like, but obviously with the rumors that came out with Jaron Williams, skipping practice and going out and not taking FIU serious, you can see it was a players thing. But that at the end of the day falls on the coaches. And you don't want a coaching staff that has these players, obviously, like if you're a big time program and in comes in Bethune-Cookman, in comes Wagner, you're not going to be as hyped playing them as you would a Florida State, a Clemson, a North Carolina. But still, you cannot play down to your opponents. And the best way to not play down to your opponents is to play the best talent. So if you tell me, hey, you have your choice of who you want to take from the other side, I want the best. Because I know my player's best is better than their best. And we're going to come out there and, for lack of a better word, best them. You get what
I think if, people are talking about Notre Dame or Clemson, I would take them as the first game of the season. Because if it's Clemson, you have to wait till September 19th. Okay, that's fine. It is what it is. I mean, all these schools have to.
We don't have any games in September, like you said.
I get it. No, but all these schools have to figure out because there's, it's not an exact fit. It's not a one size fits all thing here. I'm perfectly fine with either taking Notre Dame or Clemson in the beginning, and then maybe the second game being Syracuse, Boston College, whatever. But I agree with you to a certain extent about you want to get these players get going from the jump. You want to get them going from game one. To set the tone for the season. So, it could work. It could backfire in some ways. We don't know.
Yeah, and you can see, like, the little bit of sports that we've gotten, you can see the difference that fans make. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes it, like, even I'll take the hot dog eating contest. The Joey Chestnut guy was saying, like, those last 4 minutes were brutal because he didn't have a crowd of thousands of people rooting him on to eat more hot dogs. You get what I'm saying? Watching the MLS is back. I like it because I'm a big soccer fan. But I can see somebody being bored, not knowing soccer, and watching these guys, kick around a ball for 90 minutes. I can see where you're not going to get the excitement of the fans chanting, singing, rooting their players, getting loud on third down, screaming when a big play happens. I can see the different. It's going to be the sports is going to be a different thing right now. Like it's going to be like watching a scrimmage. It's going to be, you're going to have to be a true fan. You're going to see the true fans come out, like guys like me that go to scrimmages, that go to spring games, that go to training camp and watch these guys practice or play, or like when it doesn't matter. That's what you're gonna witness now. Like, and basketball starting next week, and we're gonna see how that goes. But it's gonna be a different experience now. Without the fans, make a huge difference, especially in these sports. And we're gonna see what's gonna happen. Are these guys gonna be self-motivated? Are the coaches gonna be true leaders and get the best out of their players without that added motivation of having the fans behind your back?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting what's going to develop over, the next few weeks here, because I know the ACC wants to make some final decisions and make some announcements over here by late July. They said late July, I'm sure by the end of July. So we're going to see, I know you and I, we're definitely over the next month or so, we'll definitely do a part 3 here when we know a lot more information, and especially with the Leonard Taylor announcement and whatnot. So that's going to do it for part two preview of the 2020 Kane season. I really appreciate it, Fernando. Well, tell us what you think. Share it. Share your comments. Like it. Share the video. Tell us your comments, questions, anything. We're here for Canes Talk. Anything that has to do with college football, we're in. So, Fernando, until next time.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
All right, man.
Go Canes.
Go Canes.